Trees are an essential part of our world for many reasons. They cool the air, stabilise soils, and provide food and habitat for wildlife. They also make an enormous contribution in cleaning our air by sucking up and storing carbon. Because of where trees are and their states and age, it can be difficult to put a figure on how much carbon dioxide trees absorb globally. However, it is estimated that the world's forests absorb billions of tons of carbon dioxide a year. No wonder forests are referred to as the lungs of our planet. In very round numbers, a typical mature tree can absorb around 22 kilograms of carbon dioxide each year. The carbon footprint of the average person in the United Kingdom, for example, is around 10 tons of carbon dioxide every year. So in theory, this means that it takes around 450 mature trees to offset the yearly emissions of one person in the United Kingdom. As trees absorb carbon dioxide and convert it into carbon, among other things, they build up their carbon stock. This is the amount of carbon they have gathered in total. Returning to the United Kingdom as our example, ancient woodland is estimated to currently hold a massive 77 million tonnes of carbon and absorbs a further 1.7 tonnes every year. However, trees cannot store carbon forever, as they have their own life cycle. When they die and decompose, trees release some of that carbon back into the atmosphere. Ideally though, the dying tree will make way for new trees, which will eventually absorb carbon dioxide once again. Most of our forests are carbon sinks, which means they store and absorb more carbon than they release. However, it is feared that due to deforestation and deliberate burning, the Amazon rainforest now emits more carbon dioxide than it absorbs. A study by Nature Portfolio estimates that we cut down 15 billion trees every year, and that the global number of trees has fallen by 46% since the beginning of civilization. So we clearly lose many trees each year, but how many are planted to replace them? Well, the United Nations Environmental Programme reports that we plant around 1.9 billion new trees a year. This might sound impressive, but is not even close to the amount we are cutting down. Some campaigners suggest we need to plant 1 trillion new trees by 2030, so we will need to increase our current planting rate considerably to achieve that. Younger trees are significantly less beneficial than mature ones in terms of carbon capture and biodiversity. So the planting of trees is no quick fix. We require so many trees to offset emissions that there simply may not be enough land for them. Finally, planting trees has its own footprint, of course, because as touched upon earlier, trees eventually release carbon back into the atmosphere when they decay. This is why there is a call for a holistic approach to carbon offset. Rather than just planting new trees, for example, some argue we should put an end to deforestation. Others state we should simply let tree saplings grow naturally with minimal intervention, being one of the principles of rewilding. There are of course many other ways to reduce or offset emissions too, such as renewable energy, insulated homes, and better soil and land management. Perhaps one of the most beautiful and complex natural phenomena there is, referred to as the Wood Wide Web. Trees and plants communicate with each other using a massive network of underground fungi. This mycorrhizal network is of mutual benefit to the fungi and the tree, and is used to share and exchange nutrients. Not only that, but some trees and plants are even able to send messages along the network. For example, if a tree is being attacked by insects, it can use the Wood Wide Web to warn other trees along the network to trigger their own defences. Awesome. The world's oldest tree is a Great Basin bristlecone pine tree. This ancient tree has been fondly given the name Methuselah, which means the man with the longest lifespan in the Bible. The tree, which is in Inyo County, Eastern California, is almost 5,000 years old. This means it was well established during the ancient Egypt civilization. The tallest tree on our planet is Hyperion, a coast redwood living in California. It measures 115 metres in height and its location is kept secret. For scale, this is taller than London's Elizabeth Tower, otherwise known as Big Ben. In contrast, the world's smallest tree is the dwarf willow, which lives in cold and high parts of the world. The jury is out on whether this plant can really be called a tree, but it is a single-stemmed woody plant which produces tiny lateral branches, so we believe it is.